Today on Screen It or Stream It, I will take care of things for you.
Upgrade is rated R for strong violence, grisly images, and language.
Upgrade is the story of Gray Trace, antique car mechanic and technophobe.
After a glitch that causes their autopiloted car to crash, Gray and his wife are gunned down and left for dead.
Now paralyzed and having lost his wife, Gray is frustrated that the police have zero leads on the murder.
He spirals into a depression and loses all desire to continue living.
Enter billionaire, inventor, and former client of Gray's with an advanced artificial intelligence known as STEM.
He proposes an unorthodox and, strictly speaking, illegal operation that could give Gray the use of his limbs again by using STEM to relay commands to the rest of Gray's body.
The operation is a success, and Gray soon discovers that STEM can do more than simply help him walk.
This leads to a clue that puts Gray on the trail of his wife's killers.
This movie had a fair amount of action, but when it got going, they did not pull punches with it.
Right. So what are we going to rate it?
Well, we averaged out and decided it's pretty good. Okay, so we definitely had some mixed feelings on this one, but I, for one, felt, at least as far as the action side, once it got going, they really let me know in the trailer what was coming, because it was brutal. When it happened, it happened.
So I was actually, it sounds dumb even when I think about it, but it really, when we walked out of it, I wasn't near as happy with this movie as I thought I was going to be. And I think the reason is because it was a better movie than I thought it was going to be, which sounds counterintuitive. But from the trailers, it looked like a big, dumb action movie, right? It was going to be just stupid, but it looked like it was going to be a lot of fun,
like a sci-fi robot kung fu. Well, no robots, but like
kind of cyborgy, not really a cyborg, but kind of cyborgy, and he's just beating up bad guys left and right, and witty dialogue and all that. It looked like it was going to be a fun ride, but it was going to be really dumb. What we got instead was a much smarter movie than what I thought we were going to get.
I was also surprised by this.
There was mystery, there was twists and turns, there was murder and intrigue and trying to figure things out, mixed with the action. And when I came out of it, that wasn't what I went in to see.
Right. So your expectations were for this, and then they gave you this, so you felt like it was a switcheroo.
So I think we actually ended up with a better movie. It had a better story than I thought it was going to have. I didn't really think it was going to have much of a story
at all.
But it did. It had, but it kind of sacrificed the dumb popcorny action, which it had, and it was really good.
Oh yeah.
But it was kind of interspersed in between moments of we're trying to figure stuff out, and so in the basic of the story is he gets this chip implanted in his neck after he's been paralyzed, and the chip basically is this electronic.
It's so essentially he thinks that he wants to move his arm, and the chip relays that signal to his actual muscles and makes it happen. So
but it does extra things. It makes him faster and stronger, and but he's not. Technically, the chip is not approved by the government yet, so he volunteers to get it put in. And then he can't tell anybody. So there's these moments of him trying to. He's supposed to still be paralyzed. He can't tell anybody he has this thing.
Yeah.
So there's all these moments of him trying to get stuff done while still being in a wheelchair and paralyzed, and trying to deceive everybody and make them think he's still paralyzed so he can do stuff and get away with it that he shouldn't be able to do. And there was a lot of that. There was a lot of actually it was pretty slow in the beginning. There was character building. They were setting him up, setting his wife up,
I would say appropriately slow. It was just right.
And I don't mean that in, oh God, it is keep going. But I meant I really expected it to take 30 seconds of establishment, and then they were going to start busting and breaking things, and it didn't do that. It set him up. It told you who he was. It set his wife up, and it set up the techno guy, and I can't remember his name now, but the guy that puts the chip in his neck.
The deceptively young-looking billionaire inventor who they even said one line in the movie that really just jumped out and bothered me, that he'd been working on something I don't even remember all his life. And I was thinking, well, he's what, 20? 25 at the most? I don't know, it struck me as funny.
But all that kind of came together and made it a weird, not a weird movie, but a different movie than what I thought it was going to be. And it also, to me, did make it kind of a weird movie because it felt like it fell somewhere in between. I was expecting a B movie, hack and slash, beat up the bad guys, and it wasn't. But it also wasn't the most amazing story ever. It wasn't, great and brilliant. I wasn't on the edge of my seat, through the whole thing. It kind of fell somewhere in between there, and I didn't know how to. I didn't know, because at times it was B movie, people's heads are exploding, and it went very, very gruesome and very dark, and then other times it's very heady and trying to get you to think about things.
Some of the sci-tech that they just want you to accept is a little okay, a gun in someone's arm, that's a little ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's kind of absurd a little bit, but they made it work. I mean, you kind of bought it, so it worked.
Well, and they pretty much didn't explain that at all.
No.
It was just, most of the stuff was just thrown at you and here, accept this.
But they did, and I think it was to their credit. They had, because there were several guys that had weird biomechanical enhancements like that, and there was at one point, I think a coroner had found one of them, and he was amazed by, oh my gosh, I've never seen something quite like this before. And so that made me more want to accept that, this crazy stuff was there, because, even the normal people in that setting were kind of amazed by it. So,
well, and I was kind of confused about the timeline. When did this movie take place, especially at the start?
I don't think they ever said, did they?
Well, because the movie basically starts with him in a garage working on
Firebird,
the 1978 Firebird
ish,
and you're like, okay, and it's a normal looking garage. I didn't buy that either. So he's supposed to be this brilliant, he restores old cars for the rich and famous.
Yeah.
And it's literally not a garage as in shop. It is his garage
his personal
on his
garage.
house. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know if he's doing a lot of that stuff. He said he just dropped in the engine in the Firebird with no way to actually lift the engine in the shop whatsoever, and just, I don't know. It didn't look.
He didn't have a chain hoist or anything. I didn't notice.
But the thing that got me, so when it starts, I'm like, okay, it's either set in the past or present day, right? because it's a 78.
Yeah.
At first he's just working on it, and then after a while you realize it's kind of an older car, and okay, well, he's restoring it. Well, then his wife shows up in her future mobile, self-driving car that's this weird box. And
it's crazy looking.
It's super techno. It doesn't have windows. It has viewing screens, and it's this super futuristic kind of Blade Runner-y, car. And oh wait, we're drastically in the future. Then they set out on the highway in it, and everybody's driving normal cars except them, and she's in her future mobile, and it's like.
And I think there were a couple of other future mobiles through the movie, but most of the cars looked kind of normal-ish. I mean. You'd see on a normal highway. I
mean, I'm guessing based on other stuff, the biomechanical implants and stuff that people had, it had to be sometime set in the future, but we never did really figure out. Oh, and there were drones viewing,
my best guess,
watching everything.
20, 30 years in the future, maybe.
Yeah.
But just a guess.
But I was confused about the time frame. Then I was confused about, what is this movie? Like I said, expecting kind of B-movie. And
turned out to be a bit more thoughtful than that.
Right,
so
and so I was just confused a lot by it, I guess. And it made it hard to really get into the movie, and because I didn't know what I was supposed to be. You had said something a long time ago about a horror movie that was a Swedish, I think, horror movie. And you said it was really frightening because they didn't...
Oh, it was Irish.
Irish,
okay, and I cannot remember the name of it. But
you said they didn't put in the normal cues.
Right, so I didn't know that something scary was about to happen because and I'm guessing just a cultural difference in storytelling. They don't, in movies here, we've got that weird music that always hits right before, and then there's the calm, and then the scary thing hits, so you're kind of prepared. But that movie, no, there was no preparation, just suddenly there it was. I'm like, oh no.
Well, I kind of felt the same about this one, not necessarily the musical cues and stuff being off, but I didn't, we have a standard, you sit down for a movie and it's a superhero movie. It's going to be a bunch of people punch stuff and blowing up, and I know what's coming.
Yeah.
And I thought I knew, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you sit down and you have no idea, and but this one I knew. I knew when we sat down, and I was really excited for Upgrade because I was like, oh, this is just going to be stupid fun, and he's going to be kicking people and saying witty stuff and karate chopping, and we got a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, what was in the trailers that was the violent scenes. That's what we got there. But there was so few of those comparatively to the long run of the
story.
movie. There were 3 or 4 good instances of violence, and we like violence. But I was really expecting these big fight sequences and really didn't get that. We got trying to figure out what's going on and running from the bad guys and that sort of thing, and that just that just didn't.
It was more the punctuations as things came to a head rather than big slaughterhouse, grindhouse fight scenes or anything like that. And
I think maybe on a second viewing, knowing what I might actually enjoy it more. Sometime down the road, knowing what it is that you're in for. But I still don't think. I mean, I didn't rate it badly. I didn't think it was a horrible movie.
Yeah.
It was an enjoyable movie. I was set when we walked in the theater. I was set for going to see this, and that's not what I got. So I knocked the rating down a little bit, and you went a little bit higher. But I don't think you were swayed by the.
No, I wasn't bothered. I was pleasantly surprised that it was more thoughtful than I expected. Though I will admit, I saw some of the twists coming. Not all of them, but some of them. But I've seen a lot of movies, so you kind of it's a pleasant surprise when you see none of the twists coming because. There's only so many stories that can be told. There's only so many variations when you're dealing with these themes and stuff. And it had a moral message even, but I won't tell you. I don't want to spoil anything. But it's there. Look for it. I did want to touch on it didn't exactly having STEM in Gray's body didn't exactly give him superhuman strength or speed, but it seemed like he had superhuman speed because the computer just processes so fast. It knows how to counter whatever attack's coming at him. So it looks like he's moving.
Predicted things.
Right, and so it has a counter attack already in motion before the first attack even hits it. So he looks super fast because of that, and it was very well choreographed. I have to say those fight scenes were great.
They were, and
like he moved just unnatural too, just like a computer would, it was great. Good detail.
Well, even the way he walked like
it wasn't quite right. And once they put STEM in him, he was just kind of.
He was very stiff, very upright,
kind of lumbering a little bit. Just I loved it.
Which he was supposed to be in control of his body. STEM was just supposed to
relay
the messages, but it ended up being way more than that. And
it was a lot more involved.
And he had no idea that was coming either. He was very, and then it starts talking to him, and he's like, "What? Are you supposed to talk to me?" But it basically made him. I mean, he was an athletic guy to start with, guy, but it basically made him almost like super intelligent. And he really wasn't. He was still him, but he has his voice relaying him every bit of information he could possibly need.
A conversation comes up, he can outwit people because the computer's telling him all these details that they just looked at this thing, so you need to watch out. Don't look away. They'll know you're lying. Just kind of it's telling him stuff, so he's getting.
Which it never explained again, but it also could read it could read and control technology. So if somebody was, making a phone call or something, he could. She's in the room next door making a phone call.
Hack their phone or something. Mm-hmm.
And so he could. It basically made him a superhuman.
Yeah. Without
actually being superhuman, he the gift of foresight,
Kind of, yeah.
Type thing, and it worked. There were some other augmented people that had different augmentations that they pitted him against to try to make it more kind of even, and I thought that was.
It did make the fights exciting.
Yeah, it made the fights much better because otherwise he would have just been way over. And
he clobbered a lot of people.
Yeah, he is for a good section, but way overpowered from everybody else. That was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Especially when he was in the wheelchair because he has to pretend to still be paralyzed, and so he's in the wheelchair and picking fights with people and things. They're like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, he's talking smack at him, and you're in a wheelchair. What do you?
But I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people went to see it. It's kind of a shame. Although there's, a bunch of stuff coming out.
There were a couple people sitting right in front of us that went to see it with their cell phone out and talking.
The entire time.
Good thing for you, I don't know your names because I would call you out. So
God, and they weren't teenagers either.
No, they were adults. What do you...
The lady in front of us pulled out her phone, had the screen brightness on, solar flare, and sat there and held the thing through 90% of the movie, just shining like someone shining a flashlight in your
really
eyes,
bright.
watching the entire. I spent most of the movie like this, trying to block out the light that was shining in my eyes, and then they held a conversation for 15 straight minutes. Oh,
we don't bring that up for her benefit because you know what? You just can't teach some things, but the rest of you guys, just be courteous.
And there wasn't a lot of people there. It was like 10, 15 people there, and like I thought we were going to be good. You kind of expect that when it's super crowded that somebody's going to do something, but I really
in a
thought
small
it was
crowd,
really
you expect the camaraderie, but I don't know. I don't think I have any more thoughts on Upgrade. Do you?
No. I definitely think it's a.
Don't take the kids. A lot of violence, a lot of blood and gut sledding. Just don't take the kids.
I think it would be a very fun one. I really don't think it's one you have to go to the theaters and see again. I think it's a really fun one to check out on Netflix or something. You've got nothing better to do. Give it a shot, and it's a fun ride. But yeah, it's not big blockbuster enough to drive to the theater and see it, and it just wasn't great enough in my mind to pay the big bucks for it. So but catch it when it comes out on Netflix, Hulu, something, whatever it ends up on.
Whatever your preference.
Yeah.
So, what do you have for a streaming option if you don't want to go and you don't want to wait for it to come out?
All right, so I really like my streaming option this week. Sometimes I'm searching and stretching, but this week I got this.
I just thought of a third one, so I've got options.
So mine is Total Recall.
Ooh.
And not the new one in 2012 one is terrible.
We don't talk about that.
1991 with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't seen it, it's a great movie, a great sci-fi. And the basis of the movie is he's a construction worker and he's kind of bored, but he can't really afford. He wants to go take this extravagant vacation, but he can't afford it. So he goes to a what do they call it? The Recall. Place is called Recall, and they basically implant memories into you. So it's basically like a staycation where you get to go on this extravagant vacation in your mind, kind of, sort of. They basically implant a dream.
Yeah, that's it,
head,
a dream.
And you get to go on your vacation, and he comes in, and they ask him all these questions. Where do you want to go? What do you want to see? What do you want to do? And he tells them, he goes in the chair, everything goes wrong, and the chair shorts out, and people come in to kill him, and he goes on this huge adventure. And the great thing about the movie is a lot of the things that happen are stuff he told them he wanted to happen. So you're constantly questioning through the entire thing, is he really doing this, or is this the stuff they injected in his mind? But he has a lot of that cerebral stuff going on because they have a tracker implanted in his brain, and they're hunting him down. And while he doesn't have the augmentation, that the stem in his neck, Schwarzenegger, so he's kicking booty and beating up people, and it's very sci-fi and very futuristic. And for some reason, though, I got very much the same feel. While the plots are not necessarily the same, in fact, quite different. You do get the techno. It's set in the probably not too distant future. It's very sci-fi. The worlds felt very similar to me. You had some future cars and tech stuff. But they're both kind of gritty. A lot of times when people do future, it's very clean and very, pristine, and it's not. They're two very gritty worlds, and like as soon as we walked out of the theater, I just got I knew what I was going to pick. They just felt the same to me. They were down, dirty, gritty, had some gory moments, and it's two guys trying to do the right thing but doing it violently, and it's, I don't know, but it is a great movie. I love most of the Schwarzenegger movies though, but it is a really great movie. That watched the 1991 Total Recall, and my take.
So I've been researching this all day. I'm gonna ditch both of the options I had and go with the one I thought up on the fly just a minute ago, so bear with me. 1987 RoboCop, rated R. Not the remake, although that one does also have some similarities, but we're just gonna put that one aside. 1987 RoboCop. So basically it's the story of a gritty near future, kind of dark and violent, and set in Detroit, so it's just a whole mess of, in fact I think they set it in the worst precinct of Detroit, so it was just constant crime and horrible stuff happening. And so this policeman gets transferred in, Murphy's his name, played by Peter Weller, and he is just like the quintessential good guy. He's just a good guy, policeman, and in a movie that's laced with more colorful metaphors than you can shake a proverbial stick at. He's the one character that never utters a single one. So he's just that kind of good guy. If he were a cowboy, he'd be wearing a white hat. So he and his partner end up trying to solve this, or they end up pursuing a bank heist in progress. So they chase the guys away from the bank and trying to get, recover the money, and end up in this big firefight on the freeway and chase them to this abandoned factory or something. I don't remember. Well, they get separated, and then the hooligans, thugs, criminal lowlifes outmaneuver them, and poor Murphy gets shot to pieces and left for dead. He might have been dead, I'm not quite sure. Anyway, enter the sci-fi tech fun part of this, and he essentially gets resurrected with technology. He gets turned into a cyborg policeman and put back out on the streets. And so he ends up kind of accidentally hunting. It starts as an accident where he runs into one of the same guys that killed him, but it triggers a latent memory, which he's not supposed to have, and he ends up essentially investigating his own murder. And it's just a good sci-fi, lots of bloody action and violence. They really did it earned its R rating very much on that one. And so that kind of similar a little bit. Some of the sci-fi tech was a bit more pronounced because they had giant enforcement robots and stuff, all stop motion, but they're fun anyway. Just go with it. And it's interesting, and it gets a little thought provoking, very little, about who's in control. Is he still human? Is he a machine? Is he product or person? And that's really interesting and really fun. This one also has a quirky sense of humor. There's random commercials and stuff in the movie
that for $1.
Yeah, and it just seem very out of place, but it's not a comedy, but it has these dark, humorous undertones that occasionally pop up, and so it makes it for an interesting and fun ride. 1987, love it. Lots of violence. RoboCop, Peter Weller. Look it up. Again, not for kids. Don't show kids that one. That is all our time. Thank you so much for watching Screen Under Stream It.
And remember, don't take your kids to the movies on Tuesday night, because that's when we go.